Alright, we are continuing to stitch the center back bodice zipper, and what I've done so far is I just got completed doing my basting to hold all three of my layers in place while I do this top stitching, which is important. So where we finished off with our zipper foot is that we have the zipper foot arm snapped onto the right. If we have that zipper, if we have that E looking straight in front of us, with kind of this tongue portion in front, we are attached our presser foot arm down around the right hand side, looking at it, the right hand side bar. Okay, so just so you know, like, this is what where we're starting now. We want to position our fabric so that the bottom edge, the waistline of our bodice is, I would say, almost lined up with our like the edge of our sewing machine, and the top part of our bodice, where the neckline and shoulder area, is actually back towards the body of the machine. So what we want to do is we want to position our presser foot so that it is just below this kind of tongue area, is just below our bottom stop. Okay, and you should be able to, you'll feel it when you lower that presser foot if you're on top of the stop, and if you are, then you just need to shift your fabric over to the right a little bit, and then you can you should be able to get things to fall right. Now what we're going to do is we want to also position it so that when we put that needle in, that it is going down just right about, just like one stitch length back behind the center seam, so that we can do some overlapping on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and lower my needle in, and I also just realized that I need to adjust that stitch length. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to 2.5, and then continue forward. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go maybe 2 stitches forward, and then I'm going to leave my needle down and rotate my fabric so that the collar area of the bodice is facing me. And then I'm just going to move forward. And what I'll be able to do is I should be able to have that tongue part of the presser foot itself. It should be running right along the coils, and that kind of shelf that's on the underneath side, that should be running fairly tight along the coils too. If you're slightly off, it's not a big deal. I would just, use your guidelines and make sure that you're stitching a straight seam. That's really the most important thing. Alright, now we're just going to continue stitching up to the top of this zipper. Go slowly, and then just kind of set your guideline to whatever you're looking at to keep a straight line. I'm looking at the edge of my presser foot on the back, and trying to line that up with, or just to the left of my to the left of my center seam. Now as I approach the top, I'm going to kind of run into that slider a little bit, but just kind of do your best to finish out that top there. And it's going to want to kind of push it around the corner, which is fine. Alright, now when you get to the top, you're going to want to do some back stitching. And to go ahead and finish that off. Now, we're not concerned about this maybe looping or pulling a little bit to the side, because the way that the zipper set down is that this would actually get be eventually connected to some sort of facing or edge finish that we could then attach a hook and eye or a button to actually close everything up there. So what I now need to do is I need to switch my zipper feet sides. So I'm going to shift my arm over to snap along the left hand side, and I'm going to start again at the bottom, hopefully doing some overlapping stitches right where I had stitched below the stop prior. So I'm going to go ahead and put my needle in behind that center seam, just so I'm overlapping stitches, and hopefully I didn't go too far. And then I want to go ahead and leave my needle down and rotate my fabric towards me so the neckline of the bodice is closest to me. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do that exact same thing, stitching right up the center back seam. And I'm not concerned if I stitch over any of my basting stitches, because that's going to be our next step, is to go ahead and take those out. So Alright, now I'm approaching that slider again, and it's going to want to push me over to the right a little bit. Again, not the end of the world, just keep it as tight as you can. And then go ahead and do some back stitching. Just to finish that off, and raise your needle up and cut those thread tails. Alright, and I'm going to go back down to the bottom and just trim up my thread tails down here too. Okay, good stuff. What you can also do is, for these thread tails that are on the bottom, you can also feel free to pull them to the back side and tie a knot. That could, if you didn't do overlapping stitches, that would probably be what you'd want to do, just to make sure that everything's finished off. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start taking out these basting stitches. So I'm just going to go ahead and break them here and pull them out. I'm using my seam ripper to do that, and I just want to be pretty gentle with things. Hopefully, I think I stitched over my knot, so I just got to kind of gently pull it out and maybe clip it at the top here. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and clip it because I think I stitched it over and in place. So it's going to come back, and I'm going to take out these other basting stitches. This seam ripper is just like, it needs to be, I don't even know if you can sharpen seam rippers, but mine definitely needs sharpening. And I'm going to go ahead, and I think I should be able to pull out some of those knots on the back side possibly, just so I don't have anything showing on the front for what's left of that basting stitch. Got some thread tails I need to trim. Alright, so I'm just taking off those basting stitches first. Trying to be gentle. And then after you kind of get to the top there and you pull out your sample, there's my knot, pull out that last basting stitch. And then what we're going to do is we need to go back down the center line here and remove that basting stitch. Now all you should really have to do is you just should be able to gently lift the threads out of the center area. You can like push them to the side and then pull them out. And push them to the side and then pull them out. And if you need to, you can, I wouldn't suggest ripping, I just suggest like trying to open it up a little bit and then gently glide those pieces out. And since we cut those bobbin threads as one of the first step, it should come out in pieces, not as just like one long strand, at least on the bobbin side. Now when we get this all removed here, we want to, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull them out as I go so I don't forget. You want to make sure that like none of these threads are left in this seam line, and maybe if you like kind of pinch it, that might help the seam to just open up a little bit. You just want to make sure that none of those thread tails are kind of left in there, because that's what can get into your zipper teeth and cause some major problems for down the line. And you know, zippers are, I would say, easier to put in than they are to take out and replace. But that's what's good, is that now you guys will know how to replace zippers and maybe save some of your garments yourself. Now what I'm going to do is, as I'm approaching the bottom here, I know that my zipper stop is maybe about 1/4 inch above where I started my top stitching. So I'm actually not going to finish pulling this seam out, because I don't want for any reason for that zipper. I don't want the zipper tab to show. I think for certain designs and looks that's probably okay, but I don't want that tab to show. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip these threads that are coming out of the center line. Now what, just to kind of keep in mind that when you go ahead and open this, like what we would do is we would probably have a different type of finished edge along the top that then we could attach a hook and eye to, or something like that. And if you're not happy with how this top stitching looks, because honestly I don't think mine is that great, I think I'm going to go back and just fix that area that was kind of around my slider, because I didn't think it was as bad as what it was until I just saw it now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do some overlapping stitches along that top stitch here, and then just ride it out straight, so it's not as kind of pulled to one side. So that is your center back zipper, or centered zipper on the bodice back. So make sure that you just label this and place this sample in your binder.